Toronto Police are providing an update on a tow truck task force investigation dubbed Project Beacon. Let's listen in live.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you all for being here today as we address the troubling rise in gun crime within a small segment of the tow truck industry. From shootings and arsons to mischiefs, this industry, which plays a critical role in maintaining traffic flow in our city, has been tainted by violence. Overall, firearm discharges and shooting events in our city have increased by 50% compared to last year. We believe that 14% of the shootings are related to an ongoing territory dispute involving a small segment of the tow truck industry. While many of the shootings that are occurring are firearm discharges targeting buildings or vehicles, there have been 2 homicides related to this dispute and several people injured. Since January 1st, 2024, there have been 43 tow truck related shootings and discharges. In late June, we announced a dynamic service-wide approach to our gun violence strategy, including a new tow truck task force involving specialty squads, divisional uniform members, and traffic services. We strategically deployed resources to address these violent crimes, and today we are announcing 4 significant arrests, resulting in 177 criminal charges. You are going to hear from 2 senior leaders who are going to share concerning facts regarding the ages of those involved, as well as the exploitation of youths and other alleged offenders. You'll also hear about our efforts to address and prevent youth gun violence. I will now turn it over to Staff Superintendent Joe Matthews for more information on the investigation.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning. The Toronto Police Service Homicide Unit has arrested both a 15 and 16-year-old youth for first-degree murder in a tow truck-related homicide that occurred on July 6th. 28-year-old Sulakshan Selvasingham of Pickering was shot repeatedly while sitting in his car in the Warden and Ellesmere area. The suspects fled and the victim eventually succumbed to his injuries. The tow truck task force, known as Project Beacon, also alleged that these same 2 youths were responsible for 11 separate shootings between June 29th and July 14th, with 8 of these shootings taking place over just 2 days of the Canada Day long weekend. As a result, they're facing a total of 154 charges in relation to these events. On May 15th of this year, a suspect opened fire on 2 tow trucks which were parked in the Markham Road and Steeles Avenue East area of Toronto. Fortunately, no one was injured, but there was damage to the trucks. After an investigation by our centralized shooting response team, a 17-year-old youth was arrested for the shooting and charged with 6 offenses. Also, as a result of the investigation, we allege this youth was being paid to commit the shooting and was directed to where the tow trucks would be by another person. 33-year-old Jamal Saeed Wizy of Oshawa has been charged with conspiracy to commit an indictable offense and has since been released by the courts. We know the ages of those responsible for the murder and other shootings over a holiday weekend is alarming to the community. The senseless violence has a significant impact on our communities and their well-being. These youth suspects are facing charges including conspiracy, possession of firearms without a license, and reckless discharge of firearms. 3 different stolen vehicles were used in their 16-day violent crime spree. The youths were arrested on July 15th after Ontario provincial police officers observed them in a stolen vehicle and were able to stop them. During the arrest, they were found to be in possession of a stolen Glock. At the time of their arrest, one of the youths was on a release order by the courts not to be in possession of a weapon, and the other was on a weapons prohibition. We've been working with Durham Regional Police, the Ontario Provincial Police, and Peel Regional Police, and we thank them for their assistance. We stand here today committed to restore community safety in collaboration with our partners throughout the GTA. I'd like to turn it over to Staff Superintendent Kelly Skinner.
Good morning, everyone. I know that hearing these stats surrounding youth and youth violence are troubling. It's troubling for all of us. And we recognize that addressing youth violence requires more than just arrests and data collection. It requires all of us involved in proactive solutions. We are deploying resources strategically to address these violent crimes and working collaboratively with residents, with community leaders, faith leaders, and agencies to build relationships and to co-develop solutions to this problem. We understand the impact of adverse childhood experiences on the development of our youth. Cycles of violence, negligence, poverty, and trauma often drive the damage that we as a police are often trying to prevent. We continue to work closely with community leaders, educators, and organizations to ensure that our young people have the support and resources they need to choose a different path. An example of this work is the Community Connect program managed by our Youth Liaison Officer and our Community Partnership and Engagements Unit. This long-term youth engagement strategy connects youth with local neighborhood community officers through training and development initiatives to help reduce barriers and provide a wide range of opportunities to enhance their skills. Since March of 2023, when this program started, it has impacted over 3,700 youth by supporting the development of very important life skills. Another important initiative in the city is Focus, Furthering Our Communities United Services in Toronto, which is a collaboration of over 170 community agencies led by a cross-sector partnership between our service, the City of Toronto, and the United Way. This model brings together the most appropriate community agencies through weekly situation tables to help the most vulnerable individuals, families, and youth. And of all the Toronto Police Service referrals we made in 2024, and we average 70% of all referrals to focus tables, 15.4% were youth referrals as a result of engagement with our members as they go about their daily business and encounter youth. Our gang exit program, Engage 416, also identified 715 youths to refer to education, employment, or counseling programs last year. I want to remind everyone that community safety and well-being is a shared responsibility, in particular when it comes to our youth. And I encourage community members, if you know of a person that could benefit from our gang exit program, please call us. As well, if you have information that will help us prevent further violence, please call police directly or call Crime Stoppers at 416-222-TIPS. And with that, Chief Demkiw has some closing remarks.
We will continue our service-wide approach to tackling gun violence, ensuring that our officers have the tools and resources they need to dismantle criminal networks. We also recognize that no single organization can solve the problem alone. Earlier this month, Mayor Olivia Chow led a roundtable discussion about the need for an effective multi-sectoral response to youth crime and gun violence. While we continue to work to get firearms off our streets, police, social agencies, school boards, NGOs, and all levels of government must work together to intervene long before a young person gets involved in criminal activity. A whole system approach with a public health lens is at the core of our work with our partners to address gun violence. It's time for bold actions by all stakeholders to address this pressing issue impacting our young. I want to thank each and every member of the Toronto Police Service and all of our policing partners for your hard work to conclude this investigation and for what you do each and every day to keep our community safe. Collaboration and communication are key in ensuring that we can address this problem on a regional scale, share intelligence, and bring those responsible for these crimes to justice. We know that getting a gun off the street or apprehending someone who has used a firearm is good police work. However, intervening to prevent someone from resorting to violence is always our goal. With that, we'll open it up for questions.
Chief Sean O'Shea with Global News.
Hi, Sean.
To you or to one of the superintendents, can you say whether any or all of the suspects are on bail right now, including the youths?
So as I mentioned, the 33-year-old has been released from custody. The youth are in custody still.
What kind of a dent do you think this has put into the tow truck problem, these arrests and these charges?
Well, what I can tell you is we've seen a significant decrease in the shootings in relation to the tow truck industry since the arrests of these two youths.
Chief, it's also weekly that your officers are doing this very successful police work, and one of these one of the patterns seems to be repeat offenders, people that are out on bail. This guy charged with conspiracy, he's now released. You've got a section 100 on one of these youth who you've got just arrested and no longer released. As a police manager, how do you deal with that? And is it out of your control, or is there something that you can do with your senior management to try to improve bail conditions?
I really appreciate that question and the ability to, discuss what is something that's talked about quite often, obviously, is how do we better manage repeat violent offenders in our community and in our country, and in this case in Toronto. Listen, we pay very close attention to the statistics. We engage with our justice system partners in all levels of government to make sure they understand what we're seeing from our perspective as it relates to repeat violent offenders getting bail. But we also hone in our skills and our ability to make sure the best possible packages are presented to providing judges and justices so that the decisions being made at that point can be the most informed they can be. And to that end, we've developed our bail support teams, which support our officers, particularly in firearms investigations, to make sure that the best possible investigative packages are being presented at court in the most timely way. So it really is a multi-pronged approach, but I think to your point, it is something we're very much paying attention to. We're looking at what the data is telling us, and it continues to be a subject of public discourse, and certainly in police circles.
Could that contribute to the increase in assaults on your officers as well, when you have these desperate criminals who may think that their judicial luck may be up if they're out on 2 or 3 releases, and now your uniformed officers are going to do an investigation? Do you think that could contribute to the assaults that we're seeing on the street?
Again, I appreciate that. I don't think we can ignore that as a potential contributor. I think there's multiple factors contributing to what our officers are experiencing and some of the things going on in our communities related to our members. But I think that's certainly a factor amongst other factors that contribute to that.
Chief, do you believe that people who commit these crimes in these types of criminal organizations recruit teenagers because of the Criminal Youth Justice Act, the fact that the rules are a little different for them in terms of punishments, their names being out, that kind of thing? Are they recruited partly for those reasons?
I'll turn that over to the Staff Superintendent, Joe Matthews.
So certainly in this investigation, we did see the use of youths, the motive behind using youths is likely because of the consequences they faced would be significantly different. It's also because they're able to entice them with smaller amounts of money to encourage them to do these violent acts. But yes, we definitely have seen that youths are being targeted to commit the actual acts that other people want done out on the streets.
Are you thinking that these are connected, like the 33-year-old and the 17-year-old seem to be one, and the 15 and 16-year-old seem to be other on paper here, but do you think they're all 4 connected in some way?
We don't have information to say the 4 are connected, but the process in which they were identified to commit the crimes, we believe, are similar.
And so do you also think that the 15 and 16-year-old were paid and directed by older people?
We don't have direct evidence of that. However, a theory is that they are likely not directly related to any of the tow truck companies, that they are more identified to commit the crimes.
Okay, and is this a couple of tow truck companies that are fighting against each other? Are there multiple, several? Do you have a sense of how many tow truck companies are involved in this?
Through investigate, well, we likely have more than we're aware of, but we do have multiple. It's more than 2 that we're looking at.
But what's the motive for the 15 and 16-year-olds? Who are they targeting? What's the common thread between the multiple incidents?
The common thread is money, that they are being enticed to do these acts for financial gain.
And the larger picture, what's the money for? Why engage this line?
Well, I think that it's difficult for young people to really comprehend the consequences of their actions. So the immediate gratification of the money is enticing them to commit the acts of violence. And, the money is for whatever you can assume that young people spend money on.
I guess what I'm asking is this part of a turf war, and are there larger, when you look at the pattern of these particular individuals, do you see them taking a side for a particular group in the turf war?
No, from what we've learned, they are just used for hire, not necessarily per side.
Is this part of a larger kind of organized crime issue, or is this strictly a tow truck turf war, or is there more here in terms of being a larger organized crime issue?
There are investigations ongoing to determine if this does relate to traditional organized crime or organized crime within the City of Toronto. At this point, we're not able to speak on those connections.
Superintendent, is the tow truck pilot project having anything to do with any of this? Because you're starting to enforce the rules now as of July the 1st. To what extent, if any, is that involved in any of what's going on in the tow truck industry?
So we are doing heightened enforcement as of July 1st in relation to the new act. We do believe that it's possible that the uptick in violence in the tow truck industry was as a relation of the new act coming in, perhaps. But as far as our investigation, it's ongoing, continuing. We've had 2 tow truck related shootings since the arrest of these youths, and they continue to be investigated.
Quick time for one more question. Chief,
We've been getting an update from Toronto Police about Project Beacon. This is an investigation into the tow truck industry. We're hearing results of a few people arrested, including a 15 and 16-year-old. Since January 1st of this year, there's been 43 tow truck related shootings. And from what we're also learning is that about 14% of shootings in our city are related to this industry.